Hi, I'm Karen Baszak, Certified Financial Planner with Pure Financial Advisors, and this is the question of the week. This week's question is, how do I protect myself from liability related to my rental property? Owning a rental property has many advantages, but one of the downsides is that as a landlord, you're exposed to a significant amount of liability risks that you otherwise would not have. And while you may not be directly responsible for accidents, injuries, or even illnesses resulting from your rental property, there's a good chance that you could still be held liable for them as the property owner. Today we're going to discuss some common sense ways to protect yourself from this type of liability. The first is to make sure that you have adequate liability coverage on your rental property policy. Now, the amount of coverage that you need will vary widely depending on the property and other circumstances, but at a minimum you should typically consider $300,000, with limits of $1 million or even higher appropriate for some situations. You should also consider purchasing umbrella liability coverage. Umbrella policies are sold in increments of $1 million, and basically this is extra coverage that kicks in after your rental property policy coverage is exhausted. While liability coverage is a necessary and fundamental form of protection, there is still a chance that you could have a liability claim that exceeds your policy limits. Liability policies not only limit how much they will pay, but they also have exceptions as to the type of claims that are covered. And while the chance of a loss exceeding your liability limits may be remote, the consequences of this happening can be financially devastating, resulting in your personal assets being placed at risk to satisfy the liability claim. There is, however, a way to protect your personal assets from larger liability claims, and that's by establishing a limited liability corporation for your rental property, also known as an LLC. An LLC will, in effect, create a legal barrier between your rental property and your other assets, so that in the event of a larger loss, only the rental property would be at risk and your other assets would be protected. There are, of course, legal and accounting costs for establishing and maintaining the LLC, which are typically tax deductible. But despite these costs, if you have considerable assets other than the rental property, the LLC should be considered and may be the best way to protect your assets from larger liability claims. I'm Karen Baszak, and that was the question of the week.